English.
Welcome to the joint,
In English or?
in English.
Okay.
Yes. Welcome to the joint press conference of Estonian Foreign Minister Margus and Lithuania's Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis. You can start.
Thank you, and I'm very happy that we have all Estonian media here. But I'm really happy to welcome you here, Gabrielius, an official bilateral visit. And also I'm really deeply grateful for your job, what you have done, and you will definitely continue. Of course, we all know that there were elections in Lithuania and a new government will enter, but this is part of democracies. But I really would like to thank you for your leadership about our bilateral relations. I think that these relations have never been as good they are now. Thank you for bringing to our region permanently the German brigade. Thank you for standing for the NB8 cooperation, because this frame is now stronger and more important than ever before. And thank you for supporting Ukraine, really, because not only supporting Ukraine, but also standing for our regional security has been one of your goals, and you have been very successful, and everybody in Estonia knows you and Lithuania. And also thank you for pushing us to get rid of Russian energy. It was a great debate, but it doesn't mean that you are leaving us. You will be with us, and we will do many things together. Second thing, and allow me to pass the condolences for the victim and the close relatives, what happened with the plane. And also, it is very important that we are dealing with the hybrid attacks, what we are having. Of course, this case is different. It's up to you to share the information, what is happening. But we have witnessed as well the cable incidents, we call them, between Estonia and Finland, Estonia and Sweden. And we have been in very deep cooperation about the investigations and about sharing the information, and also raising these questions amongst the international organizations as European Union and NATO. And it is very important that we are going to continue our cooperation. We are so like-minded countries that I don't have to explain what are our positions about supporting Ukraine. I think that we are living in the year 1938, just before the Munich meeting, what happened, and one politician went back home and said that now the peace has arrived. But unfortunately, we had the Second World War, and we definitely remember everything what happened in the past, and the price for us was losing our independence and 1/5 of our population, and occupation for the next 50 years. So the like-minded position to continue support Ukraine, to have a just and long-lasting peace only together with Ukraine. Also, we are in the same positions that for European security architecture and for Ukraine as well, the full membership of NATO and the European Union must be granted, and we are working hard for that. But also we understand that we have different times in Europe. We have elections coming in different countries in Europe, and also we have new president of United States entering in January. So we need to stick together. We need to stand together, and not less than for our freedom, and for other nations' freedom as well. So I'm not going to repeat many other things. We are like-minded, and I'm once more thank you very much, and thank you for coming here as well. We are celebrating 106 years of foreign service in Estonia, and actually the foreign ministry was the only ministry which worked continuously all these years, 106 years as well abroad. We were represented with at least one diplomat in New York. So we are the oldest in the meaning. So we will be in the future as well. So thank you, Gabrielius, and floor is yours.
Well, thank you so much, dear Margus. So first of all, happy birthday to you and to all the Estonian diplomats serving in Estonia and elsewhere abroad. Well, thank you for kind words. It makes me blush. I don't, feel worthy. From my side, I'm truly grateful for this opportunity to meet, but also for all the occasions to work together. I had a sense that we always would find a way how to reinforce each other's messages. When Estonia, takes a strong position, it's always very, very convenient to just go out and say, I support everything that Margus has said. Estonian position equals Lithuanian position. There's very little to add, and I'm grateful for all the times when that was said about Lithuanian position. So in each case, it was always walking shoulder to shoulder, not just like friends, not just like neighbors, but in many cases like brothers in arms. So that is how I feel about our cooperation. Few words. It has to be said about Ukraine, and again, I've mentioned that Estonia very often shows the lead, and I would probably distill the message that myself and Margus and other strong supporters of Ukraine would say in international fora when it comes to Ukraine is that we have to be bold. Our fears have been calculated in by Putin. He expects us to draw more lines, to try to de-escalate, basically to be afraid of him. That means that the only winning strategy for us and for Ukraine is being bold. And when it comes to, and when one listens to the discussions that are happening in any format, in NATO formats, in multilateral formats, when it comes to how much can we support, how much we should support Ukraine, is always, you find yourself in a difficult situation where you say, okay, it's good, but it's not enough. That there's this line, that divides what it means to being bold. And I would calculate my decisions. Is it bold enough? Are we going far enough with our position? If it's not, then we need to do more. So when it comes to the monetary support to Ukraine, we actually have to push way further than we're doing now. We have to convince our friends that whenever a big country comes with a support, that equals to 0.00 some percent of their GDP, we have to be bold and say, look, guys, it's not enough. Estonia's example, and the first country to declare 0.25% of your GDP to support Ukraine, was a bold statement. And I'm glad that Lithuania followed, and more countries followed. But imagine, as Margus usually says during the Foreign Affairs Councils or NATO Councils when I hear him, is that imagine what would happen if countries like Germany, like France, like United States, if they would commit 0.25%. That would definitely change the situation. When it comes to our, the future of the war, again, we have to be open to scenarios where the situation, in order to change the situation strategically, we have to be open to suggestions that have been offered by President Macron, and then again Estonia came forward to saying, look, we have to think about how this war will continue, or if we expect it to end, so that, for example, as soldiers, European soldiers might have to appear on Ukrainian soil if we expect Russians actually to take us seriously. And here again, Lithuania was always open to considering these options. And lastly, security guarantees. I know that there are so many of those who would, for whom, well, just talking about NATO, talking about Article 5 to Ukraine is an immediate red line. Why? Because it is a red line for Putin. We start from the wrong direction. We have to start from what it is. How can we reassure Ukrainian people that their country is not going to be attacked again? Because for us, it worked. Estonia being prosperous, Lithuania being prosperous today is because we're safe, is because we have Article 5. Remove that, and we're in tremendously different situation, extremely vulnerable. So it's very easy to put Ukraine in a very similar situation. Them, without the security guarantees, how can they expect to return, to rebuild, to invest, to go to EU? All these questions are, very, very difficult to answer without the security guarantees. So be bold. let's continue to be bold and let's send that message to those who are less bold. Now, a few words about a hybrid. I know that probably you've been following events in Lithuania. Well, we as well. It definitely is worrying what happened yesterday with the accident. So officially is that investigation is ongoing. It has started early morning yesterday. All the responsible institutions have joined in. It's being coordinated by the government. And I can tell you that we're looking into all possible options. No option so far has been excluded. This is as far as I can go. Now, politically, I can tell you that when I started working, and probably the first incident of some sort has been the hijacking of Ryanair plane in Lithuania. And I remember us gathering all the institutions into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and having a conversation. And it was so difficult to believe that it actually could be a hijacking of a plane that was organized by a foreign government. That Lukashenko would hijack a plane. Nobody would believe that. And so we had, this version was the first one to exclude. It could be terrorists, it could be a mistake, it could be an error, all the other options. And the last option, when we found out that it's actually Lukashenko who've done it. So in 3 years, the situation is completely the opposite. I'm sure that so many people here in Estonia, and same goes for Lithuania, they would think other options when it comes to what probably has happened. So that shows that we mentally have changed. We are aware of the dangers, of possible dangers that are outside of our countries, what is outside of our borders, and we are ready to accept this new reality. With so much focus on this particular event, which still don't know what actually happened, and hopefully we will do know more soon. But it tells us one thing. It tells us that we have to answer the question, how much are we prepared for the eventualities that it could be a foreign interference, that it could be foreign sabotage. It might not be this case, but the others could be, because it has happened in the past already. And I think, again, as with Ukraine, one of our very important tasks for our countries is, yes, first of all, to do everything that we can do so that we as countries are more prepared. And I think that we're on a good track on this. Estonia has done a remarkable job investigating the events that were taking place in the Baltic Sea, with the border with Russia and other cases. We're trying to match as well. But again, to send a message to our partners, look, we are in the territory of a hybrid attacks. People are worried, and we have to send a very clear signal to Russians that there are red lines that you do not wish to cross. This has to be done, not just by Lithuanian minister, not just Lithuanian and Estonian minister together. It has to be done by NATO. This has to be done by most powerful allies in our alliance. That look, we understand that you're interested, we understand that you want to intimidate, but it has to stop, or else. And then, it's up to NATO partners to agree in more closed-in meeting as to what goes after or else. But this has to happen so that it sends a message, not just to Putin, but also to our people, that is taken seriously, and we're considering all options of how do we answer to these in these cases. So sorry for a long introduction.
No,
thank you so much.
Take your time.
Kui on küsimusi, siis palun öelge oma nimi, küsimus ja väljaanne, kus te olete, ka inglise keeles, palun.
So, Arni Alandi, Estonian public broadcaster, and my question goes to both of ministers. So, International Criminal Court has given an arrest order for the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, and also ex-Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant. What is your assessment to this decision? Thank you.
What's that?
Well, when certain countries announce that they are certain countries that are part of the ICC, Rome Treaty, announce that they're going to invite Mr. Putin and that somehow the decisions made by the court do not apply to them or that they can find a way around them, we criticize those countries. We criticize because we believe that it is by doing so they deteriorate their international rules-based order. And therefore, my strong belief is that I can have all the things that I think about the decision, one decision or the other decision. But if I want the rules-based order to hold, I'm in no position to pick and choose which rulings do I like, which I don't like. If I want Putin to be arrested because of ICC decision when he travels, when he tries to travel, that means that I'm in no position to pick and choose.
So yes, to add, Estonia is a member of ICC, and for us, the international law and rule-based world has been existential question. And you know, of course, as well, our President Lennart Meri thought about that, that for small countries, the international law is a nuclear weapon. So it is very important, and we all applaud. We all stood up when the ICC gave the arrest warrant to Putin, and it was the right thing to do. Now we need to understand as well that ICC is an independent court. So, and we accept the independent court. So, and also we are the member of ICC, and we need to stand for the international rule-based world. So I'm going to echo exactly what Gabrielius said. But I can say as well that I'm skeptical whether this decision is going to help to find a peace in the region. But these are the two different things. So as a member of ICC, we need to, and as well the existential question of international rule-based world, we just need to follow these principles. Thank you.
Kristina Weinberg from TV3. First, two questions for the Lithuanian minister. Regarding the cargo plane crash that happened yesterday, I understand that the investigation is still ongoing, but if any evidence emerges that Russia had some kind of part in it, what kind of countermeasures should NATO take? And is it enough to invoke Article 5? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, in this case, we are investigating all possible options. And I would not be able to specify which option is more likely. At this stage, all options are being investigated. It's not a clear-cut situation and therefore requires a very thorough investigation. When it comes to matters in principle as to what should be done when it comes to hybrid or terrorist activities that are sponsored by a certain state or state actors, yes, I believe it can reach Article 5. I don't think that there should be a distinction, such a clear distinction that, for example, it is impossible to invoke Article 5. Just on a technical basis, that Article 5 itself is being determined by a country, not by institution, not by NATO, but it's in the hands of the country to declare. And I believe that there are terrorist indicators that would merit. Because also the only time that Article 5 was invoked in the span of 50 years of NATO, more than 50 years of NATO, it has been actually because of terrorist activity.
Okay, so now for Ukraine, we know that Ukraine now has the right to use US, French, British missiles on Russian territory. But however, we know that Russia has achieved quite big gains in Ukraine in the last few months. Do you think the decision to restrict, to lift these restrictions came too late?
Yes, of course. I mean, I wish I would, I could be more polite, but I couldn't say otherwise. Because it pains my heart to think about all the lives that could have been saved if the decision would not have been delayed so long. All the territories that are now, increasingly under occupation, if we would not have been mired in the argument as to are there enough targets, are there not? Ukrainians from the very first day showed that there have been targets that they would be fired upon. But no, the decision would not have been made. So it is unfortunate. And sometimes it feels that when we as the West, we're not in this war to win, we're to manage. And this is our managing, strategy. I wish that we would be in this war to win, to help Ukraine with everything that we can, so that they would win this.
If I may add as well that can you imagine that if we would have given all this military support, what we have gave now within like 2.5 years, and also this lifting restrictions, within the first year, altogether, I think that Russia would have pushed back to Russia already, and we would have had already like real negotiations with Russia about a just and long-lasting peace together with the security guarantees. It is exactly that Gabrielius said, and we have been saying these our positions loudly as well. And of course, we are happy that restrictions, were lifted, and let's do hope now. But the price has been really high. Not only about the restrictions, but also I'm not talking about the US only. I'm talking about all the Western alliance about military support. So we are dealing and fighting and discussing and more concerned, and then we're giving something. And we have all these resources to give. We had all these resources already to give in the beginning. And just to be more precise about the first question, let's not put Putin, Warren and Netanyahu in one basket. They're totally different cases. But my message was that the court is independent. We cannot step in politically. Thank you.
And lastly, I have one more question for both ministers about Ukraine. We know that Donald Trump said he will end the war quite quickly. How realistic is this promise? And if US decides to pull its support or give less support to Ukraine, can we in Europe fill the gap?
So the only person who can finish this aggression within 48 hours is Putin, withdrawing troops and declaring that it finished. But of course, we want a peace as well. As Ukrainians, they want a peace. But the question is that there cannot be a peace, negotiations, and just and long-lasting peace without Ukrainians, without Europe, and also without all the frame. The question is not to achieve the new Minsk agreement, because we know that aggression will come again then. But the goal is to achieve the real, just, long-lasting peace based on Ukrainians' positions, Ukrainians' President Zelensky peace and victory plan. And to be realistic as well, we need to secure the peace then as well. And our position has been very clear. We need to give the real working security guarantees, and we see that the only really working security guarantee is the membership of NATO, or even we give the invitation or we give the NATO path, we need to be ready as well to discuss how can we guarantee in real life the situation. Mm-hmm. And as Gabrielius said as well, discussions about boots on the ground is there. Thank you.
Well, my feeling is that that the president-elect, that President Donald Trump, is thinking about a winning strategy. And clearly the strategy that we have been following throughout the last 3 years has not been a winning one. It has been a delaying one, a de-escalating one. It's not a winning strategy. So I have a sense that for him to continue on previous administration strategy would not entirely be what he is looking for. And he might want to have a different strategy. And the only one that that I believe would work is you have to find a way to put Ukraine in the stronger position than Russia is. Because approaching any sort of negotiations, any sort of a possible outcome of the war from a weaker position is is a failing strategy. So how can he do it? I don't know. I mean, there are several ways. Security guarantees could be one, or arming Ukraine to the extent that we have not seen currently. There are ways, and he has means. So I just kind of wish that he would like to have from his first days of his work in the new administration some real victories, and the first real victory could be Ukraine.
Just the one thing we are not, discussing publicly, but very often. But the case is that the peace can come if we can change, or Putin is changing his goal to recreate the empire or to destroy Ukraine. He has not changed it. He has no means to change it, and this is the main thing actually. How Putin to change the goal. And the second, I said it here before as well, and I wrote in the Wall Street Journal as well, in one article about the 1938. It's like the parallel that actually President Trump has an opportunity to become the Churchill of our times. Not only about Russian aggression against Ukraine, but also they're all connected. We have North Korean troops fighting in Europe, just a couple of hundreds kilometers from NATO border. We have Iran launching rocket attacks against Israel, and nothing happens actually. We have China, which is supporting, somehow waiting. We have many other countries. So we are living in the momentum actually. We need a strong leadership. US has the military capabilities, economical capabilities, and US has a fresh political mandate. This is very important as well, to have a fresh political mandate in democracies. So. Okay.
Thank you.
So, Gabrielius, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.